Florida, and welcome to day 6 of walking the Teifi Trail. Where today's walk is from Llantysil, which is where we are, the church in the background, to Newcastle Emlyn, which is a distance of 11 point something miles, I think. So it's a slightly longer one today. Weather's not great at the moment, but I believe it's going to clear up later on. So it's just a tiny bit of drizzle, but it should be quite a nice walk, I think, today. I think there's quite a bit alongside the river. We go through various fairly interesting places. So I'll show you it as we go. Still in Llantysil, this is a view of the Teifi River as it flows down. You can see the dangling poles from the wires, which are used for kayak competitions. And I imagine that when they're actually in use, the water must be quite a good deal higher because the poles are quite a long way up in the air. I mean, we're in the middle of summer, so the water levels are quite low. But I think when it's in full spate, shall we say, it's probably quite, well, whitewater canoeing, I suppose. It's used for international competitions, apparently. Well, so far this morning, it's been largely along country lanes, very pleasant. Quite a lot of climbing up the side of a valley, then going down the side of the valley, then climbing up the side of the valley again. So we've used up a certain amount of our elevation allowance, I think, already, hopefully. And as you can see, we came down that little side road and we're now heading off up the hill. It's kind of an unwritten law, I think, that if you come to a junction and you're not sure which way to go, then it's probably the uphill one. Looking at it a little bit cynically, but anyway, pleasant walking. I think there's a fairly biggish, well, it's not quite a gorge, but a steep valley down to our left where there's a tumbling stream flowing. There is an option to take a little side trip down to the bottom of the valley to look at a bridge over it, but we haven't elected to do that because we're still fairly early on in the walk. I've got a fair way to go, so maybe we'll pop back later on and have a look. But yes, nice so far, not too difficult. And having climbed up the hill, we now start to go down again. What's this sign saying? Well, we're on our way along the valley to Hen Llan now. We've had to take a bit of a diversion because we saw signs saying that the Teifi Valley Trail was closed temporarily because of clearance works. It was a well-documented diversion, but it probably added about a mile, I reckon, onto the trip, which is fun. So now we're just walking along here trying to find a spot for lunch. But we've just had lunch in a very pleasant meadow. Lots of butterflies, no horseflies, and we're now setting off. I think we're going to hit the river again fairly soon, and a lady we've just spoken to tells us that there are sand martins nesting there, so hopefully we'll get a glimpse of those. Just look at this meadow, isn't it gorgeous? So now there's a bit of walking along a woodland path, which allegedly reconnects with the river in a little way, and will take us through to the village of Hen Llan, if that's how it's pronounced. In fact, we'll take us there, even if that's not how it's pronounced. Oh, I see the river. These trees are just magnificent. Huge, tall beech trees. It's like a cathedral nave made of trees. And in case you're thinking that this little video doesn't have enough political comment in it, well, how about this for a political comment? There are proposals, I think, by the Welsh Government to put a number of large, and I mean large, wind turbines up around the area, and there does seem to be some local opposition. Just pause to see just how tall these trees are, trying to stretch up to the sunlight out of the valley. These are all trees. Yeah, that's quite a long way from the little stream we hopped over right up by the Teifi pools earlier on. Well, we've just done about half a mile of my least favourite kind of walking, which is, you perhaps see down that path there behind me, hemmed in between two fences, fields on either side, but the path runs up a lane in between, both of which are overgrown, and the trees are grown over the top, which was pretty in one sense, but it means you get no view of the sky and you get no breeze coming through, and it was quite a pull uphill. And now we're going on to this, which is more of the same really. I'm hoping it's going to open out in a while so we'll actually be able to see something, but that is the path. We're close to the end now, just walking down the final bit of unclassified road before we join a B road into Newcastle Emlyn when it all gets a bit towny. I had hoped that we might get a view from here because it's we're up a hill, and although it may not look it, we're going down quite steeply. I'd hoped we'd get a view over across the river to the castle, which sits on a, well, not quite a promontory, but on a little hill in a bend, a tight loop in the river, really. So it's, I suppose, defensible on three sides by water. But unfortunately, in a way, there are these beautiful trees blocking the view, so I don't think we can see anything very much of the castle. Yes. This is really quite steep. So, end of day 6. Today's walk has been very pleasant, quite straightforward. No big problems except for a diversion because part of the route was closed due to some tree clearance works, which meant that we had to take a diversion through sort of two sides of a triangle, really. I reckon it probably gave us an extra kilometre and a half, maybe, of walking, most of which was quite significantly uphill and then downhill again. So probably added, my estimate, maybe 50 metres of elevation in total to the whole walk. Not really a problem, and it went through some very interesting countryside, very nicely formed. Disused chapel, which would make a very nice house. The river was pleasant. It's getting much bigger now in quite significant places. Went through a couple of nice towns. We didn't take the loop through to the National War Museum because we'd already seen that. That is well worth a visit. Probably not something you want to do actually on the trail, although they do a very nice lunch. You probably want to spend a little bit more time there. But yeah, so we did a bit of a shortcut there, cut that out. And yes, it's been a very nice day. Ended up in Newcastle, where I've plenty of places to eat and so on. And tomorrow we're looking forward to well, through at least Tregaron, where there are some very spectacular waterfalls. And also, I happen to know